We'll do a little, just a little exercise here to kind of show you kind of how, I guess how I might start. And then of course you do it any way you like, but I just thought also it's kind of fun to make art together. All right. So, okay. Let me find, anybody like wishing like me that we took more materials from the art room before we left? Just saying. All right. So I'm going to just start doodling here. There's really no rhyme or reason, but here is, let's say, my house. And I also have this really big barn, and I happen to love my barn. It's become my favorite place. Okay, so, and then I guess we have school, right? But I'm going to start by talking about kind of in my own journey here, let's say, because I kind of like the free drawn version of this. And maybe I'm just going to go right into the things I couldn't do before, like exercise, spend time with my kids, garden, give my dog a bath. You should have seen that. That was really interesting yesterday. I've never done that before. All right, as an example, so maybe we need to like draw a dog, right? Floppy ears. Boop. You guys all know that. There's my dog. Cute dog. It looks a little bit like a pig, but you know. I'll draw some flowers here. Okay. So I also took one of my favorite things is to then kind of use the paint that I have. I mean, I like to think of everything I make, and I hope you do too, is that every assignment that you get, and the best advice I ever got from one of my graduate professors was, you know, whether you're writing a grant, whether you're writing an essay, whatever it is. All right, here I'm showing you, these are my Caran d'Ache watercolor crayons, which I love. Take whatever you're given and figure out how does it become a way for you to make something meaningful to you, and stretching the assignment, adding to the assignment. Erica's question about, well, can I do it differently or what if Kevin said to me, I don't want to do 15 things, I want to do 17 days in life, and it becomes a big calendar kind of journey. Whatever it is, I mean, to me, those are all ways you fulfill the assignment. And I think those kinds of approaches are really good. You know, I really do. And, you know, I taught a graduate course once where I remember I had to give an assignment, and the student, who was a grown adult, actually said, this is so dumb. And I just remember thinking, wow, I have like, you know, high school kids that are smarter than you. And I said to her, I'm like, well, when are you going to own your own learning? And that's a lesson for you guys too, because, you know, you are getting these assignments, but at least in my academy, as you move forward more and more, it's going to be, how do we push you to do things like you can kind of see here. What I'm trying to do is get a base layer of texture, and then on top of that, I'm going to start maybe writing things or listing things, or, you know, a lot of times I'll have like, you know, random little pieces of paper. I might like fill in my barn that color, whatever it is. But this is kind of just a very quick approach of how I might do it. So you just kind of see, I've got, you know, just my markers, my crayons, my paper. I've always got, let's see. Okay. Mod Podge, my all-time favorite. Let's see what else I have here. Matte medium, can't live without it. So these are just kind of like things that I always keep near me. But then I also keep things like this, right? So I don't know, can you see those stencils? Like, I'm encouraging you this just because I think when you see an assignment like this, you can go as far with it or as, you know, linear with it. And the other thing that's kind of cool that I've been doing a lot of work with is a lot of times, let's say I do a free drawing of something like this, but then I snap a photo of it on the phone, and then I've been bringing it into Adobe Fresco and doing paintings and drawings on top of it, and then digitizing it and turning it into something else. And we'll do a lot of that kind of stuff next year. But so let's say, I promised I wouldn't keep you long, so I'm going to just do one more quick thing and then, you know, kind of see if anybody has questions. All right, but so kind of how I had us brainstorm, we had pre-COVID and during COVID, I guess, right? Okay, so you can see my list, it's a little backwards. All right, pre-COVID for me usually entailed maybe getting 5 hours of sleep, if I was lucky. It meant going to school. Okay. I remember saying to all of you, like, my favorite part of the morning, because I saw you all first, and this was really true. I'm not a morning person, and yet being able to come in and see you guys as my first class was always like, yay. Okay. So, was seeing my students. But then the rest of the day would be so fast that there was always this like craziness, you know, like I'm on my feet literally 16 hours a day. I can't keep up with my kids' work. I certainly don't exercise. Okay, how about this one? I'm not cooking. All right, you get the idea. Okay, that's all really sad, but true, and probably most of your parents are in the same boat. But guess what? During COVID, I bought an air fryer and a keto cookbook. And I joined a farm share so that we're just getting fresh vegetables. And I've been learning how many different ways I can do things with vegetables. Like I made parsnip French fries. Okay. Did you even know that was possible? I didn't. Let's see. Exercising. Something I've always wanted to do. I had 3 years worth of ankle and foot injuries, but my son, who now is not able to play football anymore, has turned the barn, remember the barn? There's my barn, happy barn. He's turned the happy barn into football camp. So he takes me out there every night and he heals me until I'm ready to die. So when I start deadlifting like 350, just telling you guys, when you see me next year, it's going to be awesome. So playing games with the family. I don't know if any of you are doing that, but I certainly didn't used to do that. Guess what else? I've been making my own art. That's a first for me. And not only am I making my own art, I actually just submitted my portfolio for an exhibition. So wouldn't that be cool if I got to have an exhibit of work? And it's allowed me to start doing creative writing. And not only that, on my list, see, I'm getting, you know, not only that, in a lot of ways, I feel like this time is making me a better teacher so that when we're back in person, I feel like I have a better sense of clarity about how to make lessons more meaningful, you know, I think. So anyway, you can kind of just see. So now what would I do with that, right? You can kind of see it, right? First of all, I love my sloppy handwriting, which is why I chose this beautiful black marker, because if I were to start painting on top of it and just use the list as the basis for the art, it would be really fun to paint on top of it. You know, and so you kind of get the idea. These can be as abstract, as literal, you know, as intermixed as you like. So basically, I know that you have a lot of work in your other classes. So there's a part of the purpose behind these assignments too is just, in a way, I don't want to say cathartic, but how do we use art in a way to just kind of slow down and think about what we're going through in the moment and just allow ourselves to be creative with whatever we have. So I'm going to just show you one last view here because let's see, there's me. Hi, look at this beautiful rose. Let's see, lovely. Look at my studio, right? This is what we call first class. All right, now here's my computer, right? Okay, this is just how crazy it is because I just came off of a big collage lesson. So it's overwhelmingly like full of stuff because I just have a little tiny space to work in. But I thought you would appreciate that because you've all seen my desk. It seems like it doesn't matter how much space I have, it's going to continue to populate with more and more stuff. All right, so these were really simple little things. So my question to you now is, so that you can move on with your day. Do you feel like you have clarity around what you're doing? Yes. No?
Yeah.
Better now than it was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah. And do we all understand that there's really no right or no wrong?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that this just serves as a basis to kind of get you starting to thinking about kind of where you're at in the moment. We all know we have a lot of creative choices here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, and you know that you can work as big or as small as you like, right? Like Asheen, really, if you want to go outside and spray paint the side of your house with like just big bold things and like start writing out your map, I think it'd be really cool. But you check first to see if it's okay. But you know, that could be really interesting. I mean, part of what I do, I'm saying, you know, I sort of miss Asheen with the big, you know, spray paint images in the room, but saving all of this stuff is important because you never know when you're going to use this for something else, right? Okay. All right. So, okay. Any other last questions?
Yeah, Mrs. Bellisario, for
Yeah.
the lists that you just made, do we have to have 15 on either side? Like, I'm just confused on.
Okay. Yeah, good question. Well, so no, I don't think it's a literal one-to-one. Like I can't do this, but I can do this. I mean, maybe it's like kind of in mine, it was sort of like, well, I can't work at school, but then I found 10 things that all of a sudden opened up for me, you know? So no, I don't think it's a literal one-to-one. You know, so it's just sort of like maybe start even with however, whatever process, Elise, is good for you. But even if you just start like with a process of just naming the things pre-COVID, and then let yourself kind of mull over that and say, well, what does that make me think of then for the other side of the list? And it could be one thing, it could be more things, it could be fewer things, whatever that is. Yeah. And then how you choose to illustrate that then really becomes your choice.
Oh, are we supposed to make the list and then make the like the branch?
Yeah, so your lists are really for you. You're not showing those. Well, let me see. Let me rephrase this, Anna. You always ask the good questions, and that's what I love about you guys. Make the list and choose then, after doing the list exercise. The list exercise, I'm going to say, is just for you. That's just for your thought process, okay? Then, Anna, based on what you discovered through that process, you're going to create some kind of mapping graphic, journey, illustration, you know, that could be kind of a hand-drawn representation of what you discovered, or it could become a representation of where maybe you chose to use this exact list but start collaging over it and painting over it so that you're getting at maybe in the end the how you feel or the where you want to be. Do you know what I mean? So I I think that some of these lists may come up with personal things you don't want to share. So I'm not going to require you to share the list. I will require you to make sure that you do the list, choose something from it that you then create digitally. The maps I showed you are pretty literal, but I think again, as you go through this process, if what you end up creating, let's say you start with, my little barn over here, but the next thing you know, I'm like, you know what? I just feel like I want to glue this on top of it, and then it's really, going to be, okay, just, making this up, that this is really about, whatever it is. So you can't even see what's underneath it. Part of the point of this kind of work is the more we layer, the more we learn different strategies for making art, the idea process, you're getting closer and closer to just finding new ways to make work. That's all. So there's really no right and no wrong. And so while I don't want to be so vague as to, leaving you in yet another like anxiety state, I want this to be meaningful to you. So I would say this, if you're the kind of student where it really helps you to have an example in front of you, to follow a process, then look at the maps, the two that I illustrated or gave in the slideshow, and do your lists and look at those maps and see what happens. You don't have a lot of time. It's Tuesday already, right? These are due Friday. So this is not meant to be a quick giant thing. Make this a sort of, okay, I'm going to spend an hour today just thinking and making lists, and then tomorrow morning before I have to do whoever the mean teacher is, I'm going to, no, just, I take that back, haha. Just paint, draw, whatever it is, okay? So if you feel the need to have that literal representation in front of them, you've got two very distinct examples. You can kind of take my approach, which is usually when I surround myself with colors, creative implements, materials, different size papers, whatever, and I don't even know what that's going to end up looking like, then that usually leads me to a place I wouldn't get to otherwise. But that's kind of why I wanted to do this, this is my process, and you will continue to grow your processes. Does that make sense? Anna, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, nobody's feeling like traumatized or further confused?